Okay, well, focusing for a moment on your book, you take on the Marshall Plan, which was, as you know, a big effort that the US made to help the Allies following the war. This is you talking about it in your film. Take a listen.
The U.S. eventually spent $13 billion between 1948 and 52, with Britain, France, and Germany being the largest recipients, adding greatly to Soviet fears of German power restored. The Soviets turned down an offer to join the plan as it called for too much American control over the Soviet economy.
Now, you talk about frightening the Soviet Union, but I was born in Europe, and I have to say that I think there's a widespread notion of appreciation for the Marshall Plan and the American government's action.
My mother was French, and I spent some time there in the late 40s and 50s, and certainly America was the good guy in Western European perception. Absolutely, but
was that not
the Marshall Plan was, you know, a very effective plan. It's one of the highlights, and we're not criticizing it. All we did was criticize part of the Marshall Plan because there was a part that was some of the funds were siphoned off for CIA activities against Russia.
But when I was watching the documentary, I got the impression that the sole feature of the Marshall Plan that you were criticizing was that it somehow provoked the Soviet Union, and yet there didn't seem to be...
We're seeing it from the Soviet point of view. They were most concerned about Germany. I think we made that point very clear in the previous chapter. Germany had two invasions in World War I, World War II. They were most concerned about securing their borders. And the United States, in all their actions after we dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that was an indication to them that it was against the Soviets. It wasn't about the Japanese, who were exhausted. So our war started, our Cold War starts with the atomic bomb. And frankly, we don't give credit in the United States or in Europe to what the Soviets did in World War II.
Okay. Professor, one of the overarching themes of the book is to try and challenge the notion of American exceptionalism. Yes. But aren't you really challenging the kind of discredited ideas of people like Dick Cheney, as opposed to the notion that this is a unique and exceptional nation?
Well, all countries are unique, and all countries, you can say, are exceptional, but it means something different in the American context. When we talk about American exceptionalism, we're saying the United States is not only different than other countries, which is true, we're saying the United States is better than other countries, that the United States is the one country on earth, God's gift to humanity, the one country that is not motivated by greed, not motivated by power, not motivated by geopolitical issues. We want to do good in the world. We want to spread freedom and democracy. We're benevolent, we're altruistic, and all other countries are greedy and venal. And we think that's dangerous. Because if Americans have that notion, then they're not going to be critical about what their government does.
But is this
and then we keep on making these mistakes.
Is this not an exceptional nation in positive terms, as opposed to the way you just described it?
There are a lot of things that this country does that are wonderful, but if we go back to 1898, where our book starts with the Spanish-American War and the invasion of the Philippines, and then we trace that all of the interventions throughout Latin America repeatedly, the U.S. involvement in World War I, then the Cold War, the atomic bombings that Oliver mentioned, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq. There's a pattern that goes on and on, overthrowing governments, as the CIA has done in Guatemala and Iran and other places. There's another side also, but the library is filled with books that tell great stories about American heroism, and we encourage students to read that too. But what we're trying to do is show the mistakes, because we want to get those mistakes right.
Mr. Stone, you and your co-author recently wrote a definition of American exceptionalism in the Daily Beast. You say that American exceptionalism is the, and I'm quoting, fantasy that the United States as God's gift to humanity is unique among nations, motivated by generosity, benevolence and altruism as it strikes out in the world. But again, I have to put it to you. This is an exceptional nation in other terms,
You came to this country and you love it, and I love this country. I was born here. My mother was an immigrant. I understand the energy. I understand the sense of freedom, a sense of democracy. But when you go abroad and you make statements like recently Hillary Clinton in 2011 wrote an article in Foreign Affairs about this is America, the 21st century will be America's Pacific century, that Asia is a new pivot point as the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq wind down. America is now going to turn its attention to containing China. The same containment policy as supposedly we had against the Soviet Union in 1945. It's the old game. And what do? We build up our military in Asia now. We're going to spend as much money as we ever spent, and we're taking the world even in a higher definition of risk, because we are developing space. Against the wishes of all the other countries, we have refused to sign any treaties not to militarize space. So this has reached a new three-tier space shield with the U.S. full spectrum dominance: air, sea, land, cyber, space.
Wow.
It's dangerous. So who are we crazy to talk this way? And here is Obama now in the election saying we are the, he even said we are the indispensable nation. He was quoting Madeleine Albright, who's had the gall to say, what was the quote from Madeleine?
If we have to use force, it's because we're the United States. We're the indispensable nation.
You're justifying that. You're saying why not? That's what you're saying. That's what it's
No, I'm asking questions.
I've heard that in Britain.
I'm asking questions, of course. Oliver Stone, Professor Kuznick, thank you both. And the Untold History of the United States series is currently airing on Showtime. And, of course, you can buy the book. Our thanks to both of you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Stay with us, much more ahead.
At least we ended on a good.
Why do you